I found out in a room that didn't belong to any of us. It was a lawyer's office, too cold, too organized, the kind of place where everything already feels decided before you sit down. I wasn't even supposed to be there. My sister had called me in last minute, said it would be easier if I just heard things directly. I remember nodding, like that made sense. The document wasn't dramatic, no pauses, no careful glances in my direction. Just pages turning, a voice reading, and then moving on. Assets, property, accounts, all of it going to her. There wasn't even a moment where my name almost appeared. No hesitation, no clause, no and also. Just nothing. Like I'd never been part of the equation to begin with. I didn't react right away. Not because I was composed, but because it didn't register as something I was supposed to react to. It felt administrative. Like realizing your name isn't on a list you didn't know existed. On the drive home, though, things started rearranging themselves. Not emotionally at first. Logistically. The electricity bill I'd been covering for 2 years. The insurance payments. The small, unspoken things groceries dropped off. Repairs handled without asking. Transfers sent before anyone had to say they were short. None of it had ever been discussed. That was the strange part. It had just settled into place, like gravity. I don't remember deciding to take that on. And I definitely don't remember anyone thanking me for it. My sister never paid for anything, not because she refused to, but because no one expected her to. She had a different role. I couldn't even name it clearly. Just that it didn't involve stepping in when something broke. For a few days after the will, I kept doing what I'd always done. Payments went through automatically. Notifications came and went. But something had shifted, not dramatically. Just enough to make everything feel slightly misaligned. I started wondering if I had ever been seen as a son, or if I had just been reliable. The thought didn't make me angry. That would have been easier. It just sat there, quiet and persistent, like a question I couldn't quite finish asking. So I stopped. Not all at once. I turned off the automatic payments first. Then I let a bill pass. Then another. I didn't call. I didn't explain. There didn't seem to be a language for that kind of conversation anyway. What would I say? I noticed I don't exist in your future planning, so I'm adjusting my present involvement accordingly. It sounded absurd, even in my own head. Weeks passed. Nothing happened. That was the part I hadn't expected. No calls. No messages. No confusion or concern. It was as if my absence hadn't been registered yet. Like a machine still running on leftover momentum. And in that silence, something else crept in. Space. Not relief exactly. More like the absence of constant low-level pressure I hadn't realized I was carrying. My days felt quieter, not happier, just less occupied by things that weren't mine. I started noticing how much of my time had been shaped around anticipating their needs. Without that, I wasn't entirely sure what to do with myself. Then, a month later, my phone lit up. No name, just Mom. The message was short. Power's about to get cut. No greeting. No context. No acknowledgement of the silence between us. Just a problem placed in front of me like it always had been. For a second, I stared at it, waiting for something else to follow. A second message. A correction. Maybe even a "can you help?" Nothing came. And that's when it clicked. Not in a dramatic way, but in a way that felt almost procedural. This hadn't changed for them. Only for me. I realized, sitting there with my phone in my hand, that this was the first time I was seeing the dynamic clearly instead of just participating in it. There was no malice in the message. But there was no awareness either. I typed a response. Just one word. No. I looked at it for a moment, not to reconsider but to understand what it meant. It wasn't defiant, it wasn't angry, it was accurate. Then I blocked the number, not quickly, not impulsively, just finished the action. Afterward, I sat there longer than I expected. I didn't feel powerful. I didn't feel guilty either. Mostly, I felt unfamiliar to myself. For years I had been the person who made things work quietly. The one who absorbed problems before they became visible, the one who didn't need to be asked, And now, for the first time, I had chosen not to be that person. The silence that followed wasn't tense. It was just empty. I don't know what happened after that. Whether the power actually got cut. Whether my sister stepped in. Whether they even talked about me at all. Part of me assumes things adjusted the same way they always do. People find new balances when old ones stop holding. What I do know is that nothing in my life immediately improved. There was no sudden clarity, no sense of freedom rushing in to replace what I'd let go of, just a quiet absence. And in that absence, a question I'm still sitting with. If I'm not useful to them anymore, what exactly am I supposed to be?